CGTN Radio. Hear the difference. Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour. 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Louis with you on this Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. You're listening to the Beijing Hour live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, an International Olympic Committee official says the use of artificial snow in Winter Olympics ensures the competition to be consistent and fair. A Chinese naval fleet is now in Hong Kong reports record number of COVID-19 cases. In business, oil prices are expected to rise further. In sports, China's Sui wins gold in men's snowboard big air in Beijing 2023. Culture and entertainment. Director Marie Salua of Sustainability of the International Olympic Committee has defended the use of artificial snow at the Winter Olympics as it guarantees that its competition is all consistent and fair. In an exclusive interview, Salua said that to minimize the game's impact on the environment, she believes Beijing 2022 is on its way to reaching its goal of carbon neutrality.
Beijing 2022 is doing its best to minimize the impact on the environment that the games can have. And this is very important for us because, we need to all reduce the footprints of the... And I think all prepared to have natural snow, but if we need to use artificial snow, as you said, responsible way. And what has been seen here is important because a lot of commitment has been put into using systematically renewable energy for snowmaking, having a circular system for water so that the water is reused for snowmaking, also using the latest technology that allow to be much more efficient in making snow, and better than me that the climate is also quite...
Beijing Hour, I'm Yang Guang at Beijing 2022.
Coming up, a Chinese naval fleet is now in Tonga with relief supplies.
Welcome to My Stories of Chinese Characters. Destinations and experience scenery throughout the year. Delicious, how sure. Feel the delicacy. Some people say that this is the world's first. Each one of these Yes, it's a big house. Changzhou's full. You will feel a sense of camaraderie on the slow train. And feel the excitement of the snowfield. Yes! I'm Uncle Hans. This season, we will take you to see a different China from the perspective of Chinese characters. Meet us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other major podcast platforms, or on our website, radio.cgtn.com.
It's 13 minutes past the hour. A Chinese naval fleet has arrived in Tonga to deliver more than 1,400 tons of relief supplies to the disaster-hit country. All the materials have been disinfected.
Was the government's decision while neglecting the problems of America, and also the Taliban have asked President Biden to rethink about its decision of splitting the $7 billion of Afghanistan's central bank asset, and that's what makes it really difficult for the people in the country.
There was Cyber ally assassin in Kabul. The United States President temporarily relocated its embassy in Ukraine from the capital Kiev to the Boston Syrian region. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says the embassy will remain engaged with the Ukrainian government. U.S. department has ordered departure of employees from the embassy and suspended consular services. Washington has been releasing intelligence reporting an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine, but refused to back it up with details. Moscow has repeatedly denied any intention for doing that, and is accusing the Biden administration of this deal. Canadian Prime Minister emergency to support promises in ending the ongoing blockades caused by the trucker-led protests. The Emergencies Act for the first time implemented in Canada's history to give the federal government temporary powers to handle the issues. The move is targeting to those areas in need, not the whole country. Trudeau's decision to invoke the Emergencies Act has been met with opposition from the provincial premiers of Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up, Hong Kong reports record number of COVID-19 cases walking units. The plan is for the crew to blast off in November at the earliest. They will circle Earth for up to 5 days. Isaac Mann paid an undisclosed amount of money for SpaceX's first space tourism flight last September. He says this time he will share costs with his fellow passengers. Now let's check the weather. Beijing is -9 overnight. It will be mostly sunny and 0 on Wednesday. Chongqing will dip to 10 this evening.
Mingle with the masters.
We all enter this world with universal beating. We all learn to speak. Though our languages, cultures, and traditions may differ, we all share one thing in common. We have hope.
Director of the International
26th United Nations Summit. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio. Join us network to connect with the world.
CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.
Sophisticated learner 来北京5年了，我是本地人。
With you on this Tuesday, Student and business oil prices are expected to rise further. In sports, China's Suez snowboard this year in Beijing 2022. In culture and entertainment, people across China are celebrating the Lunar Festival. .cn. Now today's headlines. China's Foreign Ministry says it's irresponsible under the current circumstances to wield inflammatory rhetoric when addressing the Ukraine situation. Spokesman
Beijing 2022. Catch up with Sideline Story, a weekly podcast on the latest news and action of the Beijing Winter Olympics. For our exclusive content, find Sideline Story on your favorite podcast listening app.
47 minutes past the hour, time for sports now. Star gold medal for there being more opportunities for female athletes to take part in a sport. Just getting monobob in, have had 2 opportunities to go after it, like that is incredible.
No one can be surprised about that. We have the desire to eliminate a rival that can compete to win.
The final last season, but was beaten 1-0 by Chelsea. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, people across China are celebrating the Lantern Festival. The Beijing Hour.
Hello, I'm Peter Dinklage from X-Men Days of Future Past. You are listening to the Beijing Hour.
Hi, I'm Kathy Freeman, and you're listening to the Beijing Hour.
Hi everyone, I'm Lang Lang. Welcome to the Beijing Hour.
The Beijing Hour, your window to China and the world. 54 minutes past the hour, China Media Group will hold the 2022 Lantern Festival Gala this evening to celebrate the traditional Chinese festival. The gala will feature a wide array of performances, including...
How are things really going between China and Africa? What's the narrative of this relationship? Well, get a perspective.
African diplomats, entrepreneurs, academics, Chinese natives, and more. Get on our wavelength every week to find out what's real with China-Africa. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more.
A billion, or maybe a gazillion years ago, a giant split open an egg. Then came the lady giant, who made people, and Mr. Curate, the botanist, Mr. Handyman, the Baron on the trees. This is our new season of Chinese folktales, and we will explore the ancient, mystical world together. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen.
America, Washington.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference. Now the news. I'm Sui. Chinese responsible under the current circumstances to wield inflammatory rhetoric when addressing the Ukrainian situation. The Chinese Foreign Ministry urged all parties to create the conditions necessary for a political solution in a fair and open manner. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin warned that advocating confrontation is a gateway to the absolute nuclear with visiting German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Moscow. The two sides discussed issues related to security guarantees, the Ukrainian situation, and Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
Bonnet asked President Biden to rethink about its decision of splitting the $7 billion of Afghanistan central bank asset, and that's what makes it really difficult for the people in the country.
And that's the news, absolutely.
Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roundtable, coming to you from Beijing. I'm your host, He Yang. Good to have you join us. It is Yuanxiaojie, or the Lantern Festival on the lunar calendar. Traditionally, folks in China will stage the last round of celebrations before we officially conclude the spring festival season. So how are folks celebrating the Lantern Festival? For today's program, I'm joined by Huang Shan in the studio and Josh Connerow via audio link. And now, let's get festive and celebrate this festival. The Lantern Festival, or 元宵节, falls on the first Chinese lunar month, which is called the Yuan month in old times. It is also the first night to see the full moon in the Lunar New Year. The festival holds significance for the Chinese people, for it pushes the Chinese New Year celebrations to a climax and marks the end of the Chinese New Year celebration period. So let's get to the etymology first. 元宵, our intelligence level or penchant towards guessing people. So, Huangshen, could you give us a little bit more of information of the difference between 元宵and 汤圆?